Well, this is John Black, Super Chemist. Another Sunday, another sermon. I'm going to do this weekly sermon. Got up a little late today. Forgot to do a video, so I'm going to do it now. Hurry up and post it. If you want to watch these sermons in a row, I have a playlist called Pastafarian Sermons. And this one, I think, let me see here. This one is part 12, I think, or 13. Anyways, if there's two parts to this, I'll name it 13A, so you'll know there's a 13B. If it's just named 13, then obviously it's just a lone video this week. I'm going to talk about this week and next week about tithing and churches, how the Pastafarian differs from the Jew Christian or Jew Muslim. They're all the same. The way they do it. So let's talk about tithings this week, okay? Tithings are when you give money to the church, and that's basically giving money to God. Does God really need money? That's the part I don't understand. Does God even need money? And everyone, I ask that to everybody that's Christian and Jew and that and all that, and they always say, well, they use that money to help people. They collect it all up, and then they help the people that can't eat and the homeless and this and that. Oh, they're just. And they say that if everyone would just be Christian, or everyone would be, Jewish, or everyone would be Muslim, depending on what your country you're in, you know what I mean? If we were just like in America, if everyone would just be Christian, they would just, this would be heaven on earth. The United States has been like 90% Christian. I mean, I'm just making up numbers, but I know it's been a lot. Yes, 20 years ago, or around 2000, there was a sharp, a lot of people that are Christians are not Christians anymore. They're waking up to the doublespeak and the craziness in it. You know what I mean? But what? You don't have to think what would happen in the future if everyone was a Christian. You can figure it out right now. Because in like the United States, like I said, even though now, it's in a decline, this has been a predominantly Christian country, and still is predominantly, just not as much, for 250 years? What have they done? Have they got rid of homelessness? Have they gotten rid? As a matter of fact, every problem like that, homelessness, have no house, have no job, you're living on the streets, you can't eat. All these problems have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I brought this up because I have a playlist called Pastafarian Rules. I go over a bunch of rules. This is one of those rules about tithing. We do not tithe. Okay, we are against tithing. And if you're a Pastafarian church and you are tithing, then you're not a Pastafarian church. Because we are dead set against tithing. God doesn't need your money, okay? And these, even like these what do you call them? Charity organizations, like the guy with the bell at Christmas, and he's got the little pot there, and he rings it for Christmas. Give me money, give me money, give me money. Salvation Army. You give them $1, 80% of that, 80 cents of it goes to the machine. Okay? The charity only gets 20%. You know what I'm saying? You give $100, that means only $20 of it goes to actually help anyone. The other $80 goes to make the machine work. The Salvation Army machine. The buildings they need, the people they have to hire, the bank accountants that they need, this and that. They get these buildings. They have to have heat. They have to have electric. The companies that supply the stuff, the warehouses they need. That's where all your money goes. That's what charity is. These people, these Christians, they tell you that, you gotta just give money to the charity. No, what they mean is give money to the machine. And if you give it to the money to the machine, we'll give you we'll take a small fraction and give it to the poor. That's what they're doing. It's a Christian organization is part of the machine. Okay. So what do you think happens when you give $100 to the church? You think that goes to help people, or does it go to help the machine? And a small, tiny grain, a fraction of a grain, is taken and to help the poor. And all we have to do is use math. So everyone knows I'm the science guy. If they know me from my other channel, I like math. I like data. Okay, data and math. Those are facts. Okay, let's just do a little math here. I'm just saying a church on average probably pulls in about $5,000 a week. And you could be in a church that has 100 people and you're like, there's no way in hell we'd probably pull $1,000 a week. No. I'm saying on average. Some of these churches are giants. They pull in like 20 grand a week, man. You know what I mean? And even if I am overdoing it, I'm also taking into effect that these Christian churches, they have organizations that actually collect money too. They don't just collect on Sunday. You think your church only collects money on Sunday? No, they have charitable organizations all over the place, and people donate to those charitable organizations, and then they take all of the money for their machine, and then they give a little grain to the poor. Okay? So let's just say I'm right, and it's 5,000. I think it's actually more, but let's say 5,000 a week for each church in the United States. Times that times 52 weeks, so you'll get a yearly thing of what one church makes. Okay. Now there's 400,000 churches in the United States, and I don't know, exact number, but we're going to say 400,000. So I multiply that by 400,000, and that gets me to 104 billion with a B, $billion, not once, but every single year. Now, there's about 200 countries, depending on who you talk to. Everyone has a different count. It's somewhere between 200 and 250. Let's just say there's 200. So I multiply that 104 billion that we're bringing in the United States, multiply that by 200. That is 21 trillion with a T. $21 trillion every year the church collects like a vacuum cleaner. Okay? And let's say, hey, half countries in the world ain't, even more than that, is not giving as much money as the United States. You know what I mean? So I understand that, and even if you cut this in half to 10 trillion a year, that's still a lot. Even if you take it down to $1 trillion a year, that is, why is there poor? Why are there homeless people? Why are there hungry people? If these religions, okay, if they're so great and they're so altruistic, and they're just all about collecting money to help poor people, why do we still have poor people? This goes with Trump thing. What if Kamala Harris wanted closed borders, why didn't she just close them? They were closed when she got into office. She opened them all up. All she has to, and so for now 4 years they've been open. If she wanted them closed, why didn't she just close them during the 4 years that she was in office? That goes to the same point. These people say that they're collecting all this money to help people, stop starvation, stop homelessness. Then why haven't they done it? You can say, well, it's a big problem. Oh my, it's a big problem. let's just use the United States because we can't really do the math on the whole world because obviously the United States is rich. So, you know what I mean? I'm overestimating with these trillions of years, trillions of dollars per year, saying that the whole planet collects in money, okay? So let's just use the United States because we did the math and we figured it out. We Googled all the thingies here, right? So we collect in this country $104 billion every year, okay? Right? $104 billion. Let's take that $104 billion, right? And there are 600,000 homeless. I think it's 653,104 homeless people in the United States right now, living on the street, living on a sidewalk in the winter and the summer. Why don't we just take that $104 billion and divide it by 653,000, okay? Right? That's how many homeless people there are. Well, let's just see how much money that comes out to, right? That's $170,000. Do you understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that the church collects, just in this country, the United States of America, collects $104 billion. They could literally give every single homeless person in this country, every one of them, all 600,000, 50,000 people, every one of them, they could give each individual one $170,000 every year. That's how much money they collect. So how are there starving people? I don't understand. How are there, if they have the ability to do it now, right now. All they have to do is stop taking that money and stealing it, right? And stop putting it all towards the machine and a little sand grain, a little fraction of a grain to the poor. All they have to do is stop doing that and just give the money that they collect to the poor. Actually do what they're supposed to do with the money that they collect. And Christians will go every week, throw that money in that offering plate. I'm a good person. I feed the machine. And that's what their God cares about. Their God cares about this machine. Okay? This is not the Pastafarian way. The only one true God, the Pastafarian God, he don't want no machine. Okay? He don't want you to think that you're being a good person because you support people who run a machine that barely help poor people in the least, not even in the least, really. They throw out crumbs to the homeless while they're making 50, 80 grand a year each person. You know what I mean? Each building is costing thousands. All this stuff, the paperwork, the accountants, all this stuff. That's all. But when you give money to the church, you're giving money to an accountant. Yeah, you're giving it to a business. You're giving it to, you never get, only a tiny bit of it goes to the poor. I want you to think, it's 4.5 billion. 4.5 billion Jews, Christian Jews and Muslim Jews, right? 4.5 billion. There's only like 7.5 billion people on the planet. 4.5 billion of them, more than half of the planet, is this religion, the Jew religion, whether it was a branch from the Christian branch or from the Muslim branch or the regular Jew branch. They're all Jews. They got the same God. They got the same stories in their beginning of their Bible. Even the Quran. The Quran has the same stories exactly. They're like they printed it word for word from the Jewish Bible because they were Jewish. They were Jewish. They had the same books, and then they branched out to be Muslims. Right? Why don't they fix it? Literally 60% of the freaking world is this religion. 60%. Okay, I guess there is going to be a part 2 from this. Maybe even a part 3 because I'm ranting. I'm raving. And I want you to understand that the only one true God is the Pastafarian God.